Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going in Raw podcast. Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going in Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick butt show called Stephen Larson's Going in Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night. Bye-bye.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick reminder, tomorrow, the numbers don't lie. If you want in on that, if you want to apply the Going in Raw math formula on Dave Batista, then you can do that. Patreon.com/Stephen Larson, $5 a month. Plus, you get that. You get all the bonus content. Plus, at $5 a month, if you listen to the show on your little phone device thing, you get bonus shows and everything ad-free in the audio realm. You can import your RSS feed into whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, except for Spotify. I do not believe it works for Spotify, but I haven't checked that in a little while. Maybe they changed that. If you simply want the show ad-free without bonus content, you can pay $3 a month. Go to goinginraw.supercast.tech. Leave a link in the description of this episode. $3 a month. None of the ads that we read and none of the other commercials that run during the show in the audio realm. So there you go, and there you have it. AEW, the first AEW Dynamite after All Out tonight, I thought was a solid show. They promoted CM Punk was going to be there talking, which he did, and we got an idea as to what his first feud's going to be, and it's amazing. It's dream scenario
for you.
Yeah, well, to each their own. Bryan Danielson showed up and challenged the number one guy on the PWI 500.
Yep.
And Adam Cole had a promo, said he's going to have a match next week. All that and more. We're going to talk about it. Do us a favor, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Congratulations to us. We passed 197,000
only took
subs.
us like 3 years of kind of getting in the territory.
Right? And we're on the road to 198,000.
Look at that.
Short term.
197,024.
Wow. On the long-term road to 200,000. Maybe sometime.
If we get that by the end of 2022, wow.
What's going to happen first? Us getting to 200,000 or WWE's new TV deal contract getting signed?
I mean, based on how long it took us to get to 197, I would guess the new TV deal. But, we've had some good growth of late. I'm hopeful that we'll get to 200,000 subs before, was it 2024, whenever the TV deal is up.
I think we've been doing great.
I think you've been doing great, too.
I had a picture I capped from, when was this? Oh, let's see if I find it. It was like our subs. Oh, here we go. When was this from? This says May 18th, 2020.
Uh-huh.
We just reached 194,000. So it's like 3,000 over the past year and a couple months.
Oh, wow. I thought it was a long time since we've been trying to get past. It was 196. We'd always kind of bouncing back and forth between.
Maybe it was 194. We were always bouncing between or something. Anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're happy to have you all
197. Yes, we're happy to have a sub.
We're happy to have just one.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to be doing that 48-hour stream at 200,000. So let's talk about...
I want to talk about that.
Totally joking.
You got to be careful putting stuff out there like that. People are like, 48-hour sub sounds great.
I know, right? Like everything I'm talking about has been manifesting lately, Larson. It's crazy. I talk about Kevin Owens somehow showing up in AEW, and then if I watched our show earlier today, we talk about that. And then we talked about me and Fear and Loathing here in the chat, talking about how great it'd be if CM Punk took on Team Taz. We got CM Punk taking on Team Taz now. I need to watch it, man.
You do. You're going to start manifesting things like you're like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters,
Hey, I'm going to bring this up on air. I'm going to put you on the spot, buddy.
All right.
I had a great time with you here today.
It was good. I appreciate your hospitality. You had the mic all set up and the little. Granted, it wasn't. I was afraid it was going to fall apart.
I was like,
TV tray, but nonetheless, it was something for me to do something on.
I imagine you walk in. I don't know. Figure it out. Steve, okay, do you have a mic around here? Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Listen, man, so many people are so hyped about that.
Yeah.
I don't want you here all the time. What if we talk about once a week, like on the Monday show?
We'll talk about it.
Let's just talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there. If I'm able to manifest stuff, throw it out there.
Yeah.
Get some donuts. Get some donuts.
Oh, that's bad for my health, getting donuts.
That's just for me.
Oh, all right. I don't have any. But if they're there, I'll eat
donuts. I'll get donuts. Hey, Larson, you want a donut?
Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, I shouldn't.
What'd you think of Dynamite tonight, man?
I thought it was all right. I was kind of hoping for a little more development in certain areas, but it was a perfectly enjoyable show. I know they're building to a huge show in a couple weeks' time. We've got some pretty huge matches lined up for that already, and I suspect we're going to get a few more that they've teased, confirmed probably next week, talking about the Elite versus Danielson, Christian, Jurassic Express, and Kazarian 5-on-5 tag match. If it's announced, it'll probably main event the show, and that'll be pretty huge. Be Bryan Danielson's first AEW bout. Adam Cole's going to be in action next week. There's nothing I could sit here and necessarily criticize. It was a fun. Well, I guess I could criticize MJF's promo, but all in all, I thought it was a fairly enjoyable show.
Let me ask you this, because some people have brought this up in our chat, and we've generally said, "Nah, we were cool with it." But given that, seemingly All Out was a pretty groundbreaking show, it had a big show feel to it. Not the big show, a big show feel to it. Some people have asked us, hey, do you think All Out was too much? Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan. Given that, just hear me out. Given that, if we're comparing this, for example, to like traditionally one of the most exciting shows, hasn't been lately, but Raw after Mania, where, during its best phase, like the, mid 2010s, or mid to late 2010s, you'd get call-ups, you'd get surprises, returns, debuts. Would Daniel Bryan making his debut on Dynamite tonight have made the show feel as important, and it really wouldn't have taken much away from All Out? Do you think that would have been a smarter move?
I think Adam Cole's promo so his promo tonight was a bit of an introductory thing. He says, hey, I'm All Elite, and he laid out his case why. For those who might not be familiar with his work, I imagine a lot of people who watch AEW probably also watched NXT. That's just my supposition. You look at the ratings, doesn't seem to be the case, but a lot of people DVR their wrestling and watch it later on in the week. But it definitely seems to be the case where Bryan Danielson, because he was on main roster, because he main evented two WrestleManias, is, no disrespect to Adam Cole, the larger star between the two of them. And so I don't think, in terms of mainstream wrestling fans, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson is a larger star than Adam Cole is. And again,
I don't disagree with that.
Adam
I don't
Cole's
disagree.
great.
Yeah, I think it's a normal thing to say. Yeah.
And now, so it's a situation where we always kind of guessed it to be a situation where Bryan, I used to call him Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson would come out to confront Kenny, and then it'd be Adam Cole there to spoil Danielson's debut. They did the opposite, where you have Cole come out, and you're like, oh, wow, the Elite, they're leveled up now. What is AEW essentially going to be able to do to compete with the Elite now? Enter Bryan Danielson. Now there's a force in AEW that is powerful enough potentially to counter the Elite. So the balance of power isn't gone too far to the Elite now. I think it's all, in terms of having go down to one segment, in terms of doing that balance of power, I thought it was pretty well done. And if you want to make a huge splash, get maximum buzz going for your show, you just throw it all out there. I know people could say, well, you do Danielson at All Out or Cole, and then the other on Dynamite, or you wait till the New York show or whatever. And yeah, you could make that case, but AEW's never been shy about moving things along.
Yeah.
You know, when they have stories they want to tell, they move them along, they tell the stories, and move on to the next thing. They're not afraid to do that.
I think if you really want to, I think there's two things they could have done to really establish some buzz for tonight's show. Number one, better usage of CM Punk. As much as Steve loves, and I love Team Taz.
It's happy to be there, Phil. It's happy to be there, Phil.
It's greeter Phil.
Yeah.
It's hey everybody, welcome to AEW Dynamite. Wow, what a great crowd. We're gonna have a great show for you tonight. Who do you guys want to see me face next? Over there in the audience. Who do you want to see? Pillman. Oh, okay, good. And Linda, what's going on? It's happy to be there, Phil. So what you do is, with happy to be there, Phil, I hate that I'm saying this, man, because I love Team Taz so much, but you give them a real threat. You make a dream match immediately that everybody's dying to see now. For example, Adam Cole versus CM Punk. You tease that. You have two of the biggest things in wrestling, the Elite with Adam Cole, and you got CM Punk. If you really want to build buzz, you smash them together in night one. People will be talking about that.
Agreed.
The other thing I think they could have done is sort of what I was asking you about. Because Adam Cole was the unknown, yes, that was a huge moment at All Out, and I'm not sure I would have changed it. But I suppose you could have done Danielson at All Out. You basically take the segment that we saw tonight, where Danielson confronted Kenny Omega, then they attack him. You have Christian, Kaz, Jungle Express all make the save. And then tonight, you do all that, but you do that at like All Out. And then tonight, Danielson confronts Kenny Omega. Adam Cole shows up, and that's your huge moment leaving Dynamite tonight, so that you do have that big Raw after Mania, Dynamite after All Out feel to it. Yeah. Those are possibilities. I think the first scenario is probably one that would be better suited because, All Out was mind-blowing, and they threw everything at you so that it was mind-blowing. So I think the better way to go probably would have just simply been, you have CM Punk, right? He's happy to be there. You lay him out. You make it so that the dude immediately has odds against him and not Taz ranting about, to keep my name out of your mouth. I wasn't talking about you. It was a goofy segment.
It was a goofy segment, but it's in line with how Team Taz is kind of operates in AEW. No, I agree, because right now Punk seemingly is on cloud nine about being in AEW. He's got to be brought down to earth a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And realize there's people gunning for him. And we don't have that yet. Like, Taz's whole issue was, don't talk about Team Taz. Where I'm like, you do realize that any member of Team Taz, if they get a match against Punk, that's good for Team Taz. That elevates really Team Taz's profile immensely. You should want Team Taz coming out of Phil's mouth. You should want that. And to argue about it the way he did, well, don't mention anybody in Team Taz. And Punk's like, I didn't tonight. Well, you did before, which is true. He did, but it's just, it was an awkward back and forth. And I like Ricky Starks a lot. I like Powerhouse Hobbs a lot. I want to see them wrestle CM Punk. It's just Team Taz is presented as such a hapless faction in AEW.
Are they're still arguing with Brian Cage.
Exactly.
You said this during the pre-show, and I agreed with you. That match should have had Cage versus Starks should have happened 3 weeks ago on Rampage or Dark. You know, like it's just it's done. I don't know who's going to end up coming out. It should be Starks coming out on top. Like 100%, it should be Starks. I don't care how it goes down. That should be the finish, and that's done.
Yeah.
Look, man, maybe they heard fans of Team Taz say, man, Team Taz really needs to be. I was literally, I think it was either Wrestle Juice or our video today, I said Will Hobbs is like criminally underused. I kind of feel like they're starting to rectify that a little bit.
Yeah, they are.
But that being said, you're putting them in a thing with Punk when Team Taz hasn't really been established as that much of a threat isn't the way to go. Punk is a main event level name. Put him in there with main event level opponents. The danger has to be there for Phil, for him to be like, oh God, this might be No Country for Old Men right now. I might be stepping in over my head because I've got all these guys gunning for Phil.
Especially at the beginning of his promo where he was like, hey, I was worried. Do I still have it? It was like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
All is well. You got to bring him back down to earth.
Right.
Quick and probably in a violent way.
This is the nasty business of professional wrestling. You don't belong here. Mr. Actor, comic book writer.
If you're just happy to be here. And again, I like Starks a lot. I think there's a potential for a lot of good back and forth between Punk and Starks. I like Hobbs a lot. But as you said, Team Taz just isn't booked as a real dominant force. They're not.
Here's the problem with this, too. Coming out of the other side of this feud, they're going to look even worse because Punk ain't going to lose anything to these guys. They might get one beat down on him. They might get one beat down on Punk.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. And then what are they going to do? Is Sting and Darby going to save him because they got respect now? And then you got Sting and Darby back with Team Taz?
Yeah. We've been over that before. What I was kind of hoping they would do, because Punk has talked about it, is teaming up with Danielson. Mm-hmm. Put Punk in that. Yeah. The match at Arthur Ashe against the Elite. Have Adam Cole, have somebody from the Elite come out and confront Punk tonight. Have Kenny, have all of them come out and say, hey, I was in the main event. Have Kenny say this. I was in the main event where I belong, but you tried to take my spotlight from my show.
Yeah.
And I'm not cool with that. And then beat him up.
Yeah.
Beat him up.
Main eventers should be mixing with main eventers. He's too big of a name for Team Taz. And that breaks my heart.
But that being said, I think being in a feud with Punk will do Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs a lot of good individually, because being in the ring with Punk, even if you come out the losing end, if you're involved in a decent program and put on a good match with them, you're being elevated a bit. Not as much as you would obviously winning the match, but you're being elevated a bit by being in the ring with a star of that magnitude.
In theory, I don't disagree. I just don't feel like they haven't proven that they can't book Team Taz as just sort of like hapless fools.
I know. It's a Team Taz thing. I know.
Yeah. I know. Anyways, let's just go ahead and hop into it, because
what you were with that potential program.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, if they're anytime they spotlight Team Taz, I'm happy about it, but I'm also realistic. It's like, man, Punk should be. You're right. He should be surrounded by the Elite, but they're doing that with Danielson. Mm-hmm. So do it with somebody else. Just nobody on. I guess they're not. They're not doing Cody Island, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, that spot's occupied by who was in this first match tonight, Malakai Black.
Well, no, I mean that's the thing though. It's like. That's why you don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the fantasy booking stuff, but it's like, even Malakai Black. Let's say he was done with Cody Island by now, and he comes out and he says, what are you doing out here, man? Like, you're, this isn't your world anymore. That could have been some killer stuff right there. Even MJF.
Yeah.
Instead, we're gonna talk about MJF here in a little bit.
Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Craig. Steve, I feel like I want to take up a new hobby. I want to start making stuff out of wood with these hands of mine, but honestly, I don't have any idea where to start. Where do I start?
You want to get into woodworking, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I was once like you, feeling the urge to craft something with these hands, but unsure if I could do so. But then I got these hands on a Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro. Craig has been the innovator and leader in pocket hole joinery, setting the standard for 30 plus years. And now if I got my Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro and a drill, I feel like I can build nearly anything, from bookcases to desks to outdoor patio furniture.
Bookcases, you say? Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, sure. You see, pocket hole joinery is a way of creating fast, simple, and strong joints in a variety of wood projects. And the Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro makes it easier than ever. You know me, Larson, I've never been terribly handy, and the thought of building something out of wood with these hands of mine seemed like a pipe dream. But after going to craigtool.com, that's KREG tool.com, and getting my hands on a Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro, I can build pocket hole projects anytime, anywhere.
Anytime, anywhere. I got time for you. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. A place. Here, my house. Bookcase to go right there. What do you say? Yeah.
I say no, Larson. Mainly because you can do it yourself. Now anyone, even Larson, can easily create perfect and strong pocket hole joints with the Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro. It works with a wide variety and size of material and is great for building all types of indoor and outdoor wood projects.
The Craig Pocket Hole Jig 520 Pro comes with everything you need and retails for just $99.99. It's available nationwide at Home Depot, Lowe's, and other home centers, woodworking, and hardware stores. Learn more at craigtool.com. That's KREG tool.com.
Again, that's KregTool.com, KREG Tool.com. All right, before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Chime. So, Larson.
Yeah?
I assume you have a checking account rather than keeping your money in a shoebox stashed under your bed?
Yeah, that's correct. I have a checking account. The only thing I keep in shoe boxes are my shoes.
Probably smart, but does your online checking account cost you money? Because it shouldn't. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card that features no overdraft fees, foreign transaction fees, monthly service fees, or transfer fees.
Chime is also super convenient because they have over 60,000 fee-free in-network ATMs, including at handy locations like Walgreens, 7-Eleven, CVS, and more. That's more locations than the top 3 national banks combined.
And get this. With Chime, you can send money to anyone, even if they're not on Chime, and there's no fees for you or cash-out fees for them.
It's time to say goodbye to hidden fees and join the millions of Americans already loving Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and does not affect your credit score. Get started today at chime.com/raw. That's chime.com/raw.
Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees apply except at MoneyPass ATM in a 7-Eleven location and at any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Other fees such as third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Malakai Black versus Dustin Rhodes kicked things off. Again, we mentioned this during the pre-show. I kind of feel like I don't know why it sounds like I'm bitching so much. I'm trying not to. This small thing, and I'm glad you're probably going to disagree here. Dustin Rhodes is getting too much shit in. This really should be Malakai Black just tearing this dude apart limb from limb from the get. It should have been that way with Lee Johnson. And yeah. But in any event.
Well, here's the thing. Dustin Rhodes, he's the natural. He's been wrestling for, 5 decades or something like that? 80s, 90s?
In 5 decades,
in 5
yes,
decades,
correct.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So, this obviously is not his first rodeo. He's a veteran. He's got veteran savvy. I don't mind a situation like this where Dustin Rhodes, a highly decorated wrestler in his own right, gets a competitive match out of Malakai Black. That doesn't bother me.
What if Malakai Black is a guy whose weakness is like the older a person is? Isn't that sort of a meta for pro wrestling too? It's like they never really book legends. Like Sting can he's like 55 years old. He can no-sell like a powerbomb through a table.
Yeah.
Like the older you get in wrestling, it doesn't diminish you. Like in every other sport, the older you get, basically, you're diminished. What if like with Matt, it's like, man, the older you're, so like some 80-year-old guy could totally dominate Malakai Black. Arn Anderson can block a black mass. He has problems with Dustin Rhodes, but he'd have to have squashed Lee Johnson for that to be the case. Eventually Malakai Black, Dustin Rhodes goes for a bulldog from the corner on Black. Black is able to grab the ropes and evade that. Dustin turns around, goes to the corner. Black evades. Dustin hits the corner and he eats a black mass square on the shoulder, which puts him down for 3.
Or earlier in the match too, Malakai Black pulled the cover off the turnbuckle, and that was
that was important.
The turnbuckle that Dustin ran into prior to the black mass. After that, we had a Lucha Brothers promo. Phoenix says they're finally tag champions. Penta says these titles cost them blood, sweat, and tears. Anybody out there willing to suffer is willing to come and try to take them from them.
After that, we had, I'm glad they're running this one back, Kingston and Miro. They were talking too fast. This is one of those video promos where one guy said something and the other guy, Miro, talked about icing his balls. But I'm glad they're going to run this back. I'm glad that they're going to do this one again.
Same.
If you want to highlight it, I know
sure.
You're a big Miro
they were both pretty quick little bits. So Eddie says he and Miro kicked off all out. They went at it like 2 men do, and then Miro had to hit a low blow. Says we all know that God has no favorites because when he makes it rain, it affects the just and unjust. And Miro responds and said he had to ice his balls for 2 days. He's going to present Eddie's bones to his bride and Eddie's soul to his redeemer. That's
great stuff right there.
It is.
I just sort of sit there and I soak it in. I don't bother because I know you're going to take the notes. I'm like, man, this is just too good.
It's like when Miro speaks, it's my natural disposition is just to sit there and soak it in. But I understand I also have a job to do, and I want to be able to repeat the words of the Redeemer as closely and as accurately as possible.
As faithfully to the Redeemer as possible.
Indeed.
After that, we had a Happy Punk.
Yeah,
he comes down and he says, hey, everybody. Great to be here. How you guys doing tonight? I want to thank Darby, Sting. More importantly, every single one of you beautiful people out there. He says, I didn't know that I still had what it takes, but I assure you it's like riding a violent bicycle. And then there's chance of you still got it. He's like, you know what else we got tonight, people? We got Minoru Suzuki, and he's taking on local Cincinnati maniac, John Moxley. Don't you love him? And everybody's like, yeah, we love Mox. And he's like, hey, want to shout out over there? Aunt Linda. So Brian Pillman Jr.'s Aunt Linda, who raised him when, obviously family tragedy struck. He was like, let me list off some names here. Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, the stars of AEW. He says, the first person I texted when I left was my beautiful wife. And she said, baby, what's next? And I said, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I should leave it to all of you beautiful people. What's next? And some people are saying Mox because they're there and they just said Mox.
Yeah.
One guy down there says Pillman. And then, hey, Punk, you down there. He's like, what the? Are you interrupting me? Yeah, shitbag, tough guy. And he's like, don't ever interrupt me. Listen. You had a match and you were impressive. But don't you ever mention any of the Team Taz players coming out of your mouth. It's like, I didn't. I didn't say. You did before. Don't do it.
And then
Punk's like, he's like, fine, okay. Yeah, sure. Send me Starks. Send Hook. And the crowd goes wild. He says, send me Will Hobbs. And then he says, and any of them... Well, what is it? Survive if they can.
Beat me if you can. Survive if I let you. He uses Taz catchphrase.
Taz's phrase. Yeah. Oh, man. So the whole thing was, it was a tad awkward. It was a tad silly. Maybe a bit more than a
very
tad.
Team Taz segment, yes.
It was a very Team Taz segment.
Taz segment. After they had a brief Santana and Ortiz interview, they say they beat FTR. Now they're focused on climbing the tag rankings and going for that number one spot.
I'm a little bit surprised that they're not running the FTR thing back. I thought that there would be a rubber match because they're 1-1, but apparently that's not.
They've still got a couple weeks till the Arthur Ashe show. It's entirely possible.
I just would have thought we would have heard that because FTR had a thing tonight with.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Who did FTR have a thing? It was Evan Spears versus Dark Order. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but Dark Order has their own thing going on. So
they did announce they're going to do a Long Island show. Is it December? Maybe they'll do something there.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe. I don't know.
The video just sounded like they're moving on, and now they're going to gun for the. But it's like the tag titles just changed hands.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to be a long road for that one. But anyways, Ruby Soho had an interview. She was interrupted pretty quickly by Britt Baker. Says you're going to be irrelevant once again when Jamie Hayter beats you tonight. Ruby says, Tony, I know Britt. I helped Britt break in. She says, Britt, you name yourself all these different nicknames so people don't see who you really are. And Britt says, well, you forget. She named the nicknames. And she says, you forgot one. That's women's champion. And she says, what do you call yourself? The Runaway? Why don't you run back to catering where you spent the last 4 years? Hey-oh! That was rough. Oof. That was rough. And then is that all that happened?
Britt says
zoned out after that because that was the nasty last word.
Yeah, Jamie was going to win, and they leave, and then Ruby tells Tony, he says, hey, I know that Britt is your girl, but I'm going to whoop her ass tonight.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Then we got Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. This is a fun match. It looked like Hobbs might have got his bell rung towards the end. He's a little woozy.
Oh, was he? I didn't see that.
Seemed like it. Rick Knox was checking on him towards the end. There was towards the end when Dante was doing the enziguris off the apron. It looked like Hobbs didn't, like he was not positioned right or something. Because I wonder if on the suicide dive or something, or the tope, sorry, if he might have got his bell rung a little bit.
Oh, maybe when he got the one where he got his foot stuck in the ropes, or he caught him with his foot in the ropes and then swung him into the.
No, that was Dante that got swung into.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it was Hobbs. I wonder if on the when Dante hit that tope over Hook.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
If he might have got his bell rung there or something.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, that could be. I didn't notice.
Yeah, because the end of the match seemed a little clunky, and usually both Dante and Hobbs are pretty crisp. So
up until that point, like you would think that the clash in styles would present a styles clash. But I thought they worked really well together. But yeah, you might be right on that one.
Anyways, Hobbs ended up getting the win with a massive spine buster, and he was kind of slow to make the cover there too. So he got the win. So hopefully he's doing all right. I just saw a little chatter on, I think, a chat here prior to the show about him maybe getting hurt. But I'll look on Twitter and see if there's any talk about it.
Yeah. So after that, you know what, man? I've defended him before. I think that he's capable of a good promo, but what they're doing with Dan Lambert and the Men of the Year, it's just not. It doesn't do anything for me at all.
Yeah,
it falls so flat. He just gets up there and he rants. And when he was doing this thing in Impact, it was a lot more interesting. It seemed like they had him doing just more interesting stuff. He had a shtick where like he was a better wrestling fan than everybody else. And I thought that's the direction they were going to go with him when they first brought Lambert on. But now it's just him like screaming nonsense about people not being man enough. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a bit much.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't really feel like it's going anywhere.
It feels pretty aimless. Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, this was kind of funny. They did a recap of the kickoff show from All Out, where Matt Hardy seemed obsessed with shaving Orange Cassidy's head, taking his hair, and so he reiterated that. And then the best friends had, like, with all the intense music, Chuck just sort of whispers to Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy says, "Matt Hardy wants to take my hair." It's pretty
Whatever.
Funny. Whatever. All right. So after that, we have this MJF promo. So he comes out and he says, prior to Sunday, I beat Jericho 3 times. I beat him again after I won. And he said, and after I won, my music hit. The match was restarted because of extreme bias. Everyone in the back hates me because they want to be me. First he runs down internet marks, right?
Yeah.
Which is like sort of the first sign of what I call low-hanging fruit. It's just like a lazy way to criticize, to be a heel. The thing about MJF is that he can be a terrific promo. Sometimes the content is just a bit trying to be edgy.
Yes.
He can be absolutely fantastic. And in fact, tonight, when he instructed Wardlow, because obviously this is going to reach a boiling point at some point.
Totally.
He says,
that was the best part of the whole segment.
It was the best part.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. In real life, the people you want to punch, the people you want to see get punched, are the people, for example, at grocery stores coughing on other people, are people with that sense of entitlement. And it's usually just day-to-day shit that makes life inconvenient for others, or these days especially makes life unsafe for others. It's that kind of attitude that makes a real heel. And so when MJF, who we understand in kayfabe, is paying Wardlow to do his bidding, when he treats Wardlow with disrespect, and we all know Wardlow could whoop his ass on any day of the week. Yep. And Wardlow sits there and he's like, okay, I'll take this one. And he stands in the corner, and he just waits. And he takes a little bit extra time when Pillman eventually starts taking on MJF. Wardlow looks at him, and he has to pull him off. And you're like, yeah, Wardlow, get it. Because of the behavior he displayed that we all see on social media, on the news or whatever, in real life. That's the kind of shit that you want to see MJF get his ass beat for. When he takes me out of the pro wrestling thing in the same way Caster took me out of the pro wrestling thing when he was doing his lazy ass rap that got him taken off TV in Dark and Elevation for a little while, is calling Cincinnati a dumpster fire, which is like an ages old thing. And he even referenced that. He said, they're going to say that Pulse hit us up. What's up, Pulse?
Thank you so much.
Shout out to Deadlock, best pro wrestling podcast there is. So he talks shit about Cincinnati, which is okay. That's fine. Standard pro wrestling.
That's a standard trope for heels to do. Yes.
It was relatively funny calling everything mid, right? But then when he starts laying into the Pillman stuff, which I'm sure everybody cleared, but, Pillman comes out and he sort of defends himself and he talks up Cincinnati. He says, we're a bunch of badasses. My dad's from here. Mox is from here. He comes in there and he refers to his mom as Methany. And it's like, ugh, dude. And he says, your mom should have swallowed and she should have aborted you. And it's like, come on, man. Yeah. Like that in itself just sort of takes me out of it and it kind of makes me cringe a little bit. The other stuff with Wardlow was really, really good.
Yeah.
That stuff is stuff that you see every day in life that you want somebody to get beat up over. You don't see people walking around necessarily talking like that because people generally aren't that clever anyways. But like just people being dicks in general happens and you see it and it's like, oh my God, I want to see this person get his ass kicked. So that's my take on this MJF segment.
Yeah, no, and I agree completely. It's like it's seemingly as a bit of a lazy approach to get heat. It's the obvious stuff, and he might have a take on it that is not as obvious as it could be. Doesn't mean the overall idea is not obvious,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and it's done just to shock and to get people talking. And I don't know. I agree with you. I think the stuff with Wardlow was by far the best aspect of this whole segment.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, it's about entitled behavior where he gets on Wardlow's like, oh, you got to help me like you did on Sunday. Go stand in the corner,
Yeah. Because the real tension lies there.
Yes.
It's like, oh man, that dude's going to whoop his ass.
And here's the thing too. Like if you're going to go through all this, why not have the match tonight?
The Pillman stuff,
yeah.
Oh well, you know what? That's actually because Pillman's not gonna win in his hometown. They couldn't have it tonight. Yeah,
I understand that. Who's to say you have to have a finish? Like I don't
That's a
feel
good
like
point. That's a good point. Yeah,
like even in the end, Pillman didn't get the upper hand on MJF at all, even without a match.
Yeah.
Like Pillman has to go and cover up Griff, so Griff doesn't get another shot with the diamond ring. Like even his hometown, Pillman couldn't like have any sort of stand tall. Like send MJF out of the ring or something. I understand Pillman's going to lose a match, but let him have some sort of stand tall moment.
Yeah. Zoe Conrana here says, I know it was obvious, but it got heat. It would have been odd if he didn't say something about Pillman. I don't disagree with that, but here's the thing. MJF is incredibly clever. He's a very clever person, and I feel like there is a smart way to address that. There's a way to give it a sort of a wink and a nudge as opposed to beating you over the head with it, with the obvious.
Exactly.
So that's my take on it. I think MJF is terrific. I think he's incredibly clever, especially at his age. He's frighteningly smart.
Yeah.
But like the real good stuff is the stuff that he does that you see in real life that makes you want to beat his ass.
Exactly. And like, all this, all the kind of shocking stuff he says is, as you said, is the stuff that kind of takes you out of the illusion that they're really trying to create that, oh, I want to see this guy get beat up.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff with Wardlow, enhances that illusion, of the character of MJF.
Yeah.
Whereas all the shocking stuff he says, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. It's like it just reminds me that it's sports entertainment or that it's pro wrestling. It just reminds me of that. Whereas he can do stuff to keep me in the moment.
Exactly.
That's just my opinion. I'm sure we'll get shit for that in the comments.
Steve,
so yeah,
I agree with you.
Hey man, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. So anyways, so all this stuff goes down with Pillman and the shit talking and stuff. Pillman ends up attacking MJF when he goes too far. Wardlow finally, he sort of looks back and he's like, oh look, MJF's getting his ass kicked, but then he goes and he takes out Pillman. Griff comes down to make the save. Wardlow takes him out too, holds up Griff so that MJF could hit him with the ring. We follow up with Varsity Blondes a little bit later, but first we had a quick video recap of Mox versus Suzuki, and we had Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho.
Yes, that was next. Hayter has the advantage early on the ringside. Someone has like a rancid, like with the album cover, like as Ruby Soho signed. It looked like they put some work into it.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, totally.
Ripped it up and then throws it at Ruby and then belly to backs her on the apron. There was a moment in this match where I was like, oh gosh, please no one get hurt. It's when Ruby was up in the electric chair position, and I'm not sure if she was trying to do like a Rana or something, but Hayter just like lands
just
right
sort
in
of
her face.
just sort of collapsed. Yeah, and after that, I was kind of worried for Hayter because she did seem like she had her bell rung at that point.
And then she kind of muscles Ruby down for a neck breaker. I don't know if it was to kind of reset things or what exactly, but even that looked like it was like maybe the timing was off, communication was off. Who knows?
Yeah, and then they sort of just went to the finish from there. Ruby got her finish off, and then after the match, Hayter, Rebel, and Britt all attack Ruby. Rio comes down for the save. She gets taken out. Statlander makes a save with a chair when Britt is about to hit a stomp on Ruby on the belt. That gets saved by Chris Statlander.
Yep, with a chair of her own. Then we get the aforementioned Brian Cage, Ricky Starks video package. Cage, he's like, I just want a match. Come on. Give me a match, dude. Give me a match. Just want a match. Please, match.
Come on, man. Hey, give me a match.
Give me a shot.
Give me a shot.
Starks says, it's one of those promos where they're kind of answering each other even though they're not in the same room. Starks says, hey, you'll find out why they call me Absolute Ricky Starks. So maybe that match is happening sometime soon.
AEW is sort of pioneering new ways of doing promos. You have like this pre-film stuff, and yet they're responding to each other. It's great.
It's something else. After that, we have Pinnacle members FTR and Sean Spears taking on Dark Order members John Silver, and then Stu Grayson, Evil Uno. So Grayson and Uno are like one part of Dark Order. There's a bit of a split in the Dark Order. So you got Grayson and Uno, who believe hands off, let Page do his thing.
Yeah.
And that you saw that when Page got beat down, the Dark Order came out. It was Uno and Grayson. They're like, let it happen. He wants to be on his own. Whereas John Silver and some other members who are like, no, we got to help him. So now there's a split within the Dark Order along those lines. And early on, it seemed like they were working well together. But before the match, there's an interview which pretty much instantly breaks down to arguing. Anna Jay steps in and says, I'm tired of this. We're family. You guys got to work this out.
Yeah.
So early on, they're working well together. However, that falls apart predictably. At one point, John Silver is sent into Evil Uno, who's on the apron. They knock heads. It knocks Uno off the apron. Dax hits a slingshot suplex on Silver, and then Spears follows with a C4 to get the win. Afterwards, Uno gets in the ring, gets in Silver's face. Silver pushes Uno, and then Stu lays into Silver. 5 then starts brawling with Stu, and 10's there trying to keep the peace. And then Anna Jay and Ty Conti walked the ramp, and Anna Jay just had the most disappointed look on her face. It was just disappointment.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And then like she takes a step towards the ring, and Ty holds her back.
Ty's like, come on, it's just an absolute disaster. Yeah, but they also have their own stuff going on, as we saw right after that.
Yeah.
We had a video promo with Anna Jay and Ty Conti. They're talking about feuding with Jade and Nyla Rose, and they had some responses of their own.
Well, it was like an overall video package of fallout from the Casino Battle Royale, because it was Ty and Anna Jay talking about feuding with Bunny and Penelope Ford.
Oh yeah.
And then it was just Jade saying, or it was Mark Sterling saying that Jade was dominant, and Jade was like, yeah. And then Nyla was like, I'm dominant too. And then Thunder Rosa was like, I'm heartbroken, but I'm not giving up.
Yeah, they're all making their case for why they lost. This is a funny comment here. Project CMR says, so cool of Taz living out the CM Punk Road to WrestleMania story from SmackDown versus Raw 2009. That's good stuff.
So this was a weird interview. So Tully Blanchard has an interview. He was saying, so Pinnacle was 3 men out there just demolished the other team. And then you look at Sting and Darby. But what we just watched out there was leadership. Says Sting tries to capitalize off somebody else like he's done his whole career. He says, Tony Khan, book Sean Spears versus Darby Allin. Then it's going to be me and you, Sting, one more time.
I think he means that he's going to corner them. And they're by proxy, that's going to be the match. But I really hope that they're going to book Tully versus Sting. I don't really want to see that. I don't really
know.
Although, I don't know, they might surprise us. Tully's in there taking pile drivers and shit.
Yeah.
That'd be rad.
That's not the same as a match. I mean, I understand it wouldn't be very long. It'd probably be
Scorpion
Death
think
Drop
about it, man.
1, 2, 3.
You got the ability to book Sting versus Jake Roberts versus Arn Anderson versus Tully. That's killer. That's a 4-way for the ages.
You know, you're starting to get into gimmick battle royal from WrestleMania 17 territory there.
There's that. There's also, God, which was like Bash of the Beach. They did like a Legends match. It was like they like literally put it in black and white.
Yes, I remember that.
It was like Wahoo McDaniel was in it.
Yep.
I think they were probably 10 years younger than these guys are. Oh, man. Yeah, that's great. Just give these old dudes the mic and just let them say whatever. Start booking matches for themselves.
I guess so. We got the Varsity Blondes interview you mentioned earlier where they're in the trainer's room. Pillman's upset, understandably. He said he went to Tony Khan, got a match against MJF at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show on the 22nd. The Acclaimed walk in, hand Pillman flowers, and Caster says, well, you know what? I politicked with Khan myself. I got a match against you, Pillman, Friday on Rampage.
You know, sounds like a elevation main event, but okay. The Elite come out then. The Elite minus Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Tony had the mic, and Callis takes it away from him pretty quickly.
Well, first of all, I got to shout out Kenny's awesome blazer, and then the matching Jordan 1s, the yellow and black.
Everybody's got the Jordan 1s, man. Amazing. Yeah, dude, they're great. What was Callis wearing? I know he had that powder blue suit, but he had some powder blue shoes as well.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what the shoes those were. They were something else, though. They looked almost futuristic.
Yeah, they look great. So anyways, he gets the mic. He mentions, of course, PWI Top 500, Kenny Omega being number one. Says it all out. It was all about the Elite. Kenny proving why he's the greatest wrestler ever. And it was all about the Young Bucks providing the greatest tag match in history. The belts were stolen, but don't worry, we have a plan. He gives the mic over to Nick, who has, he's got, what is this called right here? The bridge between the nose here? Because it was here. And I thought this is like a very specific, this has like a name.
This is your septum.
Is this the septum right here?
I believe so.
It's like septum to ear chain.
Yeah.
Pierced. It was amazing. And he says, you know what? We've got our best friend back, Adam Cole. And Adam Cole comes out, gets up on the apron, does this. But he does this. He does the boom between booms.
But he
doesn't say boom.
No boom.
He just smiles. The crowd says boom. He gets in there and does the Adam Cole Bebe thing. And he says, who's ready for story time with Adam Cole? Seems like he's going to be, face Adam Cole. We're all going to be on board with this. And he stops, turns around, looks at Tony Schiavone, walks up to him, says, I know you're really close with Britt Baker, but I swear to God, if you even look at her the wrong way, I will slap those glasses off your face. Get out of our ring now, nerd. Go on, nerd. Get out of here, you nerd. He kept on calling him a nerd. And Tony was going so slow.
I know. He was upset.
Great.
He was upset.
He seemed upset. He seemed like he wanted to throw.
Yeah, he did, which is great. So then Adam Cole's promo is kind of a bit redundant after that. He says AEW's greatest wrestling company in the world is because of the Elite. He says this ring, those ropes, that stage, all your tickets, that's because of the Elite. He says, I may be new to AEW, but I've been Elite for a very long time, nearly 14 years. I've main evented, won titles, and shown that I'm a once-in-a-generation wrestler, and now I'm with the very best. He says the Young Bucks, greatest tag team ever. Kenny Omega, once-in-a-lifetime wrestler. And, of course, the Elite has Adam Cole. Says we should be thanking Kenny and the Young Bucks because now the Elite is complete. And if you don't believe him, just wait. I'll make my in-ring debut, and after I prove to the world how good I am, you'll see how elite he is.
Mm-hmm. Kenny gets on the mic and says, that's a cause for celebration. And as much as I'd love to celebrate with you, I despise one thing, interruptions. We were so unceremoniously interrupted last week.
Bryan Danielson again.
Boom. So Kenny calls for the music to be cut. And he says, he's like, guys, can I have the room, please? And they all leave the ring. And he says, hey, Bryan, step into the squared circle. You're just the guy I want to speak with. Bryan snatches the mic from Kenny. He says, quick question. Do you guys want to see me fight Kenny Omega? And they're all cheering, of course. Yes. He doesn't do that, but they do it. And Kenny, off mic, says it doesn't work like that. And Bryan reiterates. He said it doesn't work like that here. He says, you're the greatest wrestler that ever lived. I think you're afraid to take this match because you know that I'm better than you. I'll kick your head in. You're not on my level. Kenny takes off his jacket. Kenny attacks, but Bryan immediately is able to take him down, put him in an armbar. Kenny starts tapping out. The Elite attack. Jurassic Express, Christian attack. Kazarian comes in. They all make the save. Cutler finds himself in the middle of them all after they've already got rid of the Elite. And Bryan gives him an E+. They throw him out. It was good stuff. We mentioned this during the pre-show, but I want to bring it up here. Bryan Danielson. I have to work on that.
Same.
Bryan Danielson does not seem like the happy-go-lucky person he was in the WWE. He doesn't seem like the cartoonishly villainous guy that he was when he was Captain Planet. This is what
American we'd see in NXT Daniel Bryan in like 2017, 2018. He's badass, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. He is like, he's got that edge to him. It all started out when he was like saying, let's fucking go. He's dropping the F-bombs. And then even in the media scrum as well, he was saying, CM Punk can be here to teach the young guys. I'm here to kick people's heads in. And it's in his face. It's in his look. He's got that look that's just different from WWE.
He's there to throw hands, man.
He is. It's amazing. This is really, I'm really excited about this stuff. I think whenever this match is going to happen, and this is why him and Kenny, this has got to be the match next, right? The next big pay-per-view match, right?
I would think so. It'd be full gear. So, yeah.
What are the odds that Bryan wins the title?
I'd be pretty surprised.
I'd be pretty surprised too, but not 2% botch surprised. Tony Khan knows the value of having a name, and especially a guy who just main evented WrestleMania.
At the same time, they've invested a lot in building up Hangman Page, and I think a portion of their audience would be upset if he got shoved to the side because they brought in somebody else. I almost said a WWE guy. They brought in somebody else to take his spot. Because you can tell stories.
Let me ask you something.
Hold on, let me finish this. You could tell a lot of really good stories with Daniel Bryan that don't involve the title. He doesn't need to have the title. He doesn't. He doesn't need to win all his matches either. I feel like early on Phil needs to win his matches because he needs to essentially prove that he can still do this. Daniel Bryan doesn't need to do that.
Do we overestimate how much they have invested in Hangman Page?
Do we overestimate?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He spent a lot of time hanging out backstage with the Dark Order, doing a lot of nothing. And then he spent like 3 months feuding with Team Taz.
And as soon as he came out to confront Kenny, the roof blew off the place.
Does he need the title?
Page, yeah. I think that culminates the story with Kenny. He needs to beat Kenny for the belt.
All right. Maybe.
I think it does.
Maybe. I think you're probably right. But these are questions I like to ask. Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. What if it's like a 3-year-long story?
Maggie says, I'm not going to lie. I lost it. I'll be thoroughly heartbroken if Hangman isn't the one to take the title off Kenny. And there's other people here in chat that kind of echo those sentiments.
Yeah, I know. I probably would be too. But maybe they're telling a much longer story. I don't know. Oh, man. Anyways. Let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Oh, we forget about the main event, Minoru Suzuki versus Jon Moxley.
Yeah, I was cutting it off like they cut off Kazinin RA.
Well, it's obvious the show went long somewhere else because this match didn't really get underway till quarter till the hour. Yeah. That's when Suzuki was beginning his entrance. So he made it down the ring. He's on the apron. They cut off Kaze Ninore before he gets to the chorus. Everybody can sing along because they have to get the show going. Disappointing. Yeah. I get it. Mox comes down. Match starts. What you expect from these guys? They beat the hell out of each other for about 10 minutes. Suzuki, by the end, was bleeding a ton from over his eye. It took a couple of paradigm shifts, but Mox eventually got the win. Then he goes up to the crowd to celebrate with his hometown fans.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. They made a 10-minute match pretty enjoyable. So can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see here. I've got a thread. We've got some new. We got a
poll. We got a poll here in chat. Does it have to be Hangman? Absolutely, 86%. Not really, 14%.
All right.
It's the story they're telling, and
I'm not saying it's not.
No, yeah,
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just asking the questions.
As we've seen so far in AEW, when they bring in free agents, huge names even, they don't hotshot them generally right to the belt, you know?
Yeah, Tony Khan has said they need to be ranked, but I mean, a guy who just main evented WrestleMania is kind of a different status.
Yeah, that's one thing for him to get maybe a title match, but I don't feel like he's going to win. Don't feel like he's going to win.
Let's see here. We got a couple new patrons. Kieran Hughes, Superlicious.
Thank you.
2 just from today. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Jeremiah P with a sub here. Thank you. Good question from favorite customer. Which will happen first, Punk losing a match or Wardlow turning face? I think it's Wardlow turning face because I feel like that could potentially happen within the next 6 months.
Punk losing or Wardlow? Oh yeah, I think it's probably Wardlow.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Wardlow. Let's see here. The Yellow Flash asks, what other New Japan wrestlers should Moxley take on next?
I mean, it's got to all build to Tanahashi.
Yeah, it should be Tanahashi.
It'd be cool if the Guerrillas of Destiny showed up in AEW. That'd be awesome. Be cool if Jay White did. I understand maybe this taping, how Impact tape stuff, where they have bulk tapings, and then he could be there for a week or so, get 3 months of TV in, and then, go back to Japan and do stuff there is probably more advantageous for him and his schedule than being in AEW on a weekly basis, even for a month. I don't know if that was
what I want to see.
What?
Mox versus Kota Ibushi in AEW, and you just see Kota and Kenny cross paths. Again, like that they did that one time.
That'd be good. Yeah. Dr. Lipkin, if you did in-person pay-per-view watch-alongs and reviews, that would be dandy. Some of my favorite going in Raw moments are you guys reacting to things in person. That would be cool. It's just make it a little tougher to keep doing them with the Enforcer,
I love doing pay-per-views the way we're doing them.
Same here. I do too.
I think our reactions are better. I don't know. I mean, look, I understand. I totally get it. I get it. And I would like to talk to you in private about arranging perhaps a weekly thing where we're able to do a show in person. But I mean, I get it. I know maybe one day if we go down to Los Angeles and I'll sit on a couch with the Enforcer. But I don't know. I just think when I'm here, like in front of my mom, I'm like more relaxed a little bit.
Same.
Certainly when we're doing this on a regular basis, like these recaps at 8:49 at night, I'm more comfortable and I feel like I'm funnier. I'm more entertaining.
Yeah. I like pay-per-view stuff. I want to go get water, I get water. If I want to get a beer, I get a beer. If I want to get snacks,
I don't have to worry about a bunch of wires in my way getting up.
Exactly.
I prefer it this way. This is probably going to be the way it's going to be. But no, I would like to do more stuff, you and I. We'll talk about that.
We'll make something happen. IML's Punk joked about needing to find a tag partner for some of the matches he wants to have, other than the obvious Darby, who are some partners he'd like to see Punk team up with. He mentioned Bryan Danielson, too. He'd take them taking on the Young Bucks. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson seems to have no concern about doing that, though. I love that he's like, fuck you, Bryan Danielson now, I love it. Let's see here. Moses Opposes says, who gets their first singles loss? Adam Cole, CM Punk, or Bryan Danielson?
Sorry, second.
Who gets their first singles loss? Cole, Punk, or Bryan? I kind of agree with what you're saying.
It's Danielson.
It's got to be Danielson, right?
Yeah. So he'll have his match against Kenny. It'll be awesome. It'll probably be fantastic. He'll lose, and then he'll start putting wins together. And they can make a story out of it. He showed up, stepped to PWI #1, person who claimed to be the best in the world. He just comes up short, probably because of interference from the Elite, and then down the line, they can have a rematch when Kenny's not champ. Bryan could beat him then, and maybe if they decide to put the belt on Bryan at some point, that can catapult him up to the title scene.
Yeah. David Matushek, after knowing that Cody, it's a smart thing because he really is. He really does have a claim to be best in the world, Oh, he did get stacked. David Matushek, after knowing that Cody versus Malakai Black is in New York, do you think that if the former wins, if Cody wins, the crowd will truly make their feelings known, especially considering that on Dark, When Max Caster returned, he plugged Cody's show and the boos rang down. I still think it all depends on the crowd. I have no idea what that type of crowd is going to be like in New York, because New York is obviously a very diverse place. I'm not sure which, is it going to be like, like when ECW would go to New York or something like that? Is it going to be that kind of crowd, or is it going to be
who knows?
A crowd more friendly to Cody? Because plenty of people still like Cody.
Yeah,
I know it's
true.
weird. It's weird.
It is, but there's people like Cody. They like Cody.
Many people like Cody.
Wizard of Smokes, is my opinion, MJF's promo went beyond Max Caster's rap. I suffer from personality disorder and have 15 years clean from narcotics. Not cool to crap on both. I wasn't offended. Still love MJF, but I think he needs the same classes Caster had to take.
Yeah. Eddie Brock's Venom says, how difficult will it be for Daniel Bryan not to do yes fingers? He seems to have no problem not doing it, because I think he's in a different character mindset.
I think so too.
I think he's out there to kill people, and doing this stuff just that doesn't fit in with it. But he'll let the other people do it.
Totally. R. Lopez Ortiz, Hobbs should just have laid out Punk before his match instead of Taz interrupting Punk. Yeah, especially when Punk was going up the ramp and Team Taz was just standing there. Hobbs and Hook were there. Hobbs should have done something, at least made a move.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dean Fish, do we think Adam Cole dethrones the TNT champion? No, I don't think. I think the Elite, I think they've got the main title right now, and that's kind of all they need as a collective group. Once Kenny loses the title, I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe that's the way they kick. Yeah, boy, I don't know. Hangman wins the title. They jump Kenny out of the group. Cole takes over as leader. That's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a distinct possibility.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. Dan Daniels, to you, what are some ways promos can be edgy but not go too far, or is that possible and not worth doing? Sorry for how the question is worded.
No, I think you can be edgy. You just have to be smart about it. I think you can actually say stuff that's biting. People gasped when CM Punk said, this company's going to be better off when Vince is dead. It's like that. And I know that could be considered crass as well, but it's like Vince McMahon is this invincible multi-billionaire or whatever he is. So, I don't know. I think there's a way to do it. You just got to be smart. I don't have a specific example of how he could have done it.
In general, yeah, it's as you said, there's a way to do it. Just be smarter about it.
Yeah. Wizard of Smoke, power rank the theme songs from All Out. Cult of Personality, Ruby Soho, Daniel Bryan's new remix song, Adam Cole's new song, and as a wild card, the Lucha Brothers live version.
Okay.
I'm going to go with okay, for me it'd be Cult of Personality is number one.
Yeah.
That's just a killer song. You got to put Rancid too. I would put Adam Cole's new song next, and then Daniel Bryan's, and then Lucha Brothers.
I don't disagree. I might switch Daniel Bryan and Lucha Brothers. I need to listen to Lucha Brother ones again. Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
D. Hayes, who is the first person from New Japan Bryan Danielson fights? Zack Sabre Jr. Give it to me.
Oh man, just
Please.
do that match. Do that match.
Please.
Do that match.
Please.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. You know what I say? First one is Yano. But comedy Yano, not killer Yano that we just saw.
Yeah.
Comedy Yano back.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson could do comedy matches.
Oh, man. It'd be great. Let's see here. Mondo says, since the forbidden door to New Japan is open, do you think we'll ever get Okada versus Omega 5 in AEW?
I'm not going to say no entirely, but I would have a hard time believing that New Japan would be like, yeah, we'll give you such a marquee match at another promotion.
I think it's sort of a race between how much collaboration. For me, I think it's a race between their collaborative relationship progressing and Kenny's retirement, because he's beat up.
He
is beat up.
I will say this. In terms of an AEW show, I'd be somewhat pessimistic if they do like a joint supercard, then it's entirely a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's a possibility for 2022 or whenever COVID's makes travel restrictions ease up. Man, my sister and her husband had a hell of a time getting back from Scotland. Yeah. It's a mess trying to travel apparently internationally. But I think that it's a possibility. But I do think Kenny is, he's on a run right now that's absolutely crazy. And you got to think he's at least going to take some time off. Hopefully he's the kind of guy who's going to wrestle into his 60s. But man.
Yeah. I mean, he has to change up his style quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Thomas Dunnigan, could Punk's storyline be going through Team Taz to win the FTW title? Probably not. I think probably not. I don't know who would look at that title and be like, "Oh, that's prestigious."
Yeah.
I want Team Taz. I want Taz's, memorabilia from his old attic. Yeah, yeah, right. Here we go. This is a great one. We'll end on this one. Steve Klain, who has had the better return, Edge or Christian?
I mean, it's Edge. He made event of WrestleMania.
Okay, but how about this?
Although Christian actually won a title, so
weighted against expectations, it's got to be Christian, right?
Yeah, no one expected him to come back.
Nobody expected that shit. I mean, even if you found out, Christian's coming back just to wrestling, I would not have thought he'd come back, have such a prominent role in AEW,
be the Impact champion,
win the Impact champion with a rejuvenated Impact. Edge, I kind of figured that he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Against expectations, it's probably Christian.
It is Christian. There you go. Hall of Famer. Another entry in his Hall of Fame resume.
And if you want to find out why I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, check out youtube.com/WrestleJuice. It's my solo gig, and today my video is labeled "Why Steve is Not a Christian Cage Fan." Thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.